People who have croaked Abraham, what do they do? What occupies them? Do they visit other universes, have reunion parties with other croakers? Do they spend or increase their escrow? And is it worth their while keeping in touch with the non-croakers?
Yes, yes, and yes.
And do the croaked have shapes like human beings? And how are they different or similar to Abraham?
It's always an interesting conversation that we have with our non-croaked friends who have this frame of reference that is essential to the conversation. In other words, as you observe your time-space reality, this is the way you are perceiving. And so often you try to fit everything else into that frame of reference. When we describe ourselves as vibration or thought, without ears or without eyes and so on, sometimes it is a bit unsettling to our physical friends. But there is a flawed premise that is sort of sparkling here at the basis of so much that you've asked here, that we think as we put this into perspective first, that then we can answer that question, the question about what is it like for us in non-physical, and even more to your point, what do we look like? We want you to understand something really basic. You, in your physical form, are an extension of this non-physical perspective that you are asking about. You're an extension of that, which means you are all that this is and more. You are an extension of source energy. That means that you were what you were before you were born into this body, and what you were as you are now in this body is increasing because you're in this body. So the inner being, the non-physical you, the Abraham of you, is expanding because of what you are about here. Your inner being, which is that eternal part of you that we are always trying to describe, your inner being is in this vortex of creation that we're talking about. And here you are in your physical body. And as we said to you earlier, your inner being does not come out of the vortex regardless of what's going on with you. And when you get into the vortex, then you have the benefit of seeing your world through the eyes of source. Now, we want to reiterate that here and emphasize it in a way that you can really feel it. Your inner being, the source within you, is seeing your world through the eyes of source. So when you say, what do? That's what we do. We're forward looking to that which is the leading edge of thought. But we've got to figure out what forward is. In other words, from non-physical into your physical body is forward. But in your physical body, you have moved forward still, further forward still. So source energy is fixated on what's going on in your vortex of creation. Can you get the sense of the bigness of what that says? In other words, so you were source energy before you were born into this physical body. Part of you comes forth into this physical body, and you call this reality. And we say, yes, it is reality, and from it you are bouncing into a vibrational reality, which the larger part of you assumes it's present tense. So, friends, where is the leading edge of thought? Isn't it back into this vortex of creation? And are we not invited you into it here and now? Are you following us? We want you to feel this question is bigger than even you know. We see through the eyes of source, and the inner you see through the eyes of source, and what we're seeing is not what the vortex was like before you were born, and not what you're living here in your struggle or in your contrast. We're seeing the vortex of creation that you've set forth. This is the leading edge of thought. Let's call it heaven if you want to. Let's call it non-physical if you want to. It is the vibrational energy that precedes. It's this cycle of life. Esther had such a wonderful conversation with her father after he made his transition. took her a while to find him, because she was sadder than she thought she would be, not as prepared as she thought she was for his transition. So for a while, she couldn't find him. And then when she did, she accused him of being Abraham, because he sounded so much like Abraham. And as Esther visited with him one night, once she discovered the vibration of him, which meant she had to forget about his sickness, and she had to forget about what was bothering him, and she had to retrain herself into the pure vibration of who he now is. She said, "What's it like?" And he said, "It's not so different from where you are." She said, "What do you mean? What do you see?" He said, "I see places. I see things. I see streets. I see what you would describe as a physical environment." In other words, you got to understand that when this stuff that you are claiming as your physical reality is all vibrational interpretation. It exists in this real feeling, seeing, hearing, textile environment, because your eyes translate vibration into what you see, and your ears translate vibration into what you hear, and your skin translates vibration into what you feel. In other words, this has come into beingness because of focus. And source energy is not depriving itself of this focus. In other words, we are all in this together. The only difference between the way source views life, universe, world, beingness, and the way humans do, is that source only focuses upon what's in this vortex. Source does not focus upon the lackful things that physical friends focus upon, that deprive them from the alignment with this. It is not an easy thing to wrap your thoughts around the non-physical universe when you are so determined to wrap your thoughts around your physical universe. And everything that you hear us do, every effort that we make to help you understand, is to help you understand the wholeness of you, that we are all in this together, that there is not a separation between that which you call physical and that which you call non-physical, but for your lackful vibration that deprives you of it. Now think about what we just said to you. So in this vortex where all of the aspects of everything that you're asking for are, and where your inner being is, where the larger part of you is, where the solutions to all things that you want are, it is from that vantage point that all new energies come forth. This vortex is this vibrational place that you can tune yourself to. And when you tune yourself to it, and here's the reason that we love this question more than we can convey to you, and the answer even more than we can convey to you, is because when you get into the vortex, you get to see what source sees. You'll be the lover that source is, you see. And yet you want to make what source sees entirely different than what you see when you're happy, or than what you see when you're elated. But think about those masters of your society, the masters of sport, or the masters of music, or the masters of art, or the masters, those that you revere, those that you see who have tuned themselves to the creative energies and have expressed themselves in the most fantastic ways. What are they painting about? What are they singing about? What are they writing about? They're writing about what source sees out here on this leading edge. It's time to accept the bigness and the wholeness and the goodness of this physical world that is an extension of source, and stop trying to hold out for this heaven that man has conjured, that he separates himself from every time he condemns himself for not being good. When you get in the vortex and those things occur to you, those thoughts that are occurring to you are the thoughts of source. In other words, as you choose the feeling and you tune yourself to it, you can tune yourself right in, and you can answer for yourself exactly how source sees and what source sees. And no words that you'll ever hear from anyone else will ever be anything close to satisfying once you have gotten into the vortex and you've taken a look and a whiff and a listen and a feel and a sniff to what source sees and hears and smells and feels.